Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar on cylinder head gaskets in heavy-duty diesel engines. I am Amanda Harmoning. I am an administrative assistant here at AERA, and I will be moderating today's event. And joining me also from the AERA team is Rob Monroe.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, like Amanda mentioned, we're going to be in the background today, helping out a little bit with some of the questions you may have. I look after membership and technical development here at AERA. Looking forward to today's presentation with Mario. And yeah, if you have, we're going to show you how to use that questions box here. And if you got any questions throughout the presentation, just shoot them in that box and we'll get them looked after. And if you have any questions about the actual webinar itself, go ahead and put them in those questions box and we'll answer those and get Mario to take care of those at the end.
All right, before I pass things over to the presentation, we're just going to go over a couple of housekeeping slides. First off, there are a couple ways to listen into today's presentation. The first is to dial in from your phone. If you do this, make sure that you select the appropriate radio button and you enter your access code and audio PIN. This allows us to mute your line during the presentation so there's no background noise. The other way to listen in is with your computer's microphone. And again, just make sure if you do that, that you select the appropriate button so that everything's muted for us. A couple other items you need to know about. There is a little orangish red box up in the corner with an arrow in it. You can use this to collapse and expand your control panel during the presentation so it's not blocking your screen. And at the very bottom, you'll see a questions box. And as Rob had mentioned, if at any time you have any questions or comments for us, concerns, go ahead and put them in that box, and Rob and I will be in the background replying to those questions, and we will also do a live Q&A at the end. So at this time, I'm going to hand things back over to Rob and let him get rolling with his part of the presentation.
Super, thanks, Amanda. So just before we get into the presentation, for some of you that don't know who we are, AERA has been around since July of 1922, so we've been around a very long time. We're a nonprofit association that's made up of engine professionals that include engine builders, the rebuilders, installers, as well as parts supply manufacturers and distributors. We've got manufacturers reps that are members, schools, as well as government agencies, and we've got over 2,000 members worldwide. Now, just like the slide is sort of stating here, is that we are all about creating opportunities to network. So just like today's webinar, we really, everybody learns when you get together and learn from each other. Things like our conferences at some of the larger trade shows, some of the events like the Tech and Skills conferences. These are all opportunities for us to get together. We are a smaller group when you think of our industry as engine builders, and we do learn from each other. So we are very much a part of trying to create those opportunities at AERA for you. As a member of AERA, some of your member benefits include specification manuals. We've got over 7 manuals there that you get as part of your new member kit. We've also got our subscription to our Engine Professional magazine. You have unlimited access to our toll-free tech line. So for tech help, there's 5 techs that are available to take care of any of your technical specification requests. We've got our automotive machining online training program. And I'll go over that just a little bit with you here in a few minutes and show you about that program. Contingency Connection Engine Professional Rewards booklet. That is a great opportunity to help save you money. When you become a member of AERA, in that booklet, or some of the larger manufacturers have given us large discounts to help out members, and you can take advantage of that, as well as take advantage of a discount on your membership, as well as your Process Pro software. Process Pro software, that is a software that we have that is specific to AERA and to its members. There's over 8,600 engines listed in that software, and that is available to our members as well. And lastly is our custom training program. This is a newer program that we have for our members. One of our techs that's on the tech line, Chuck Lynch, looks after this program. He can come right to your shop and help you with things like equipment setup. He can help you with maybe quality control. Maybe you've developed a new process within your shop and you need help to do that. Chuck can help you there as well. So we can come right to your shop and help you with that type of program and do that for you. Our Engine Professional magazine is a quarterly publication that comes out, and the idea behind this magazine is we've got articles in there that are application driven, meaning you should be able to take this magazine, look at some of the engine builds, look at some of the technical information from some of the authors that have written articles here, including some of the business articles, and apply that right to your shop or to your business. And that was our idea behind the magazine, is that we want you to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are helping out in that magazine. There's lots of good industry representatives that are authors that write for us in there, and very good quality technical articles in there. Something else that you can do if you want to read our magazine online, the most current edition, you can go to www.engineprofessional.com. You'll be able to click right on the current edition to read that, as well as you can archive any of the older editions as well, right through back into when we started. So you can go ahead and click on any one of these magazines when you're in the archive section of our website, open it up and go ahead and read articles in there. So really good opportunity on our website to view every one of our copies of Engine Professional. Something else that we have here at AERA is our online certification program. We can certify you as engine machinist or cylinder head machinist through this program. It is online, it's self-paced. We allow you 1 year to complete. Something new to us as well with this program is we're able to customize it. And some of our larger groups and some schools have suggested that if they could just pick and choose some of the chapters out of this particular program and suit it right to what they're teaching. So we're able to do that as well. A lot of these schools use this program as part of their curriculum, and their students come out as certified engine machinist or cylinder head machinist. It's only $150, which includes the manual. And if you have larger groups, 2 or more, right up to 10 or more, significant discounts there for you for that online training program. So any questions on that, you can go ahead and get a hold of us and we'll help you out through there. So very good program. You can see here when you're all finished, you get diploma-like certificates for both engine machinist and cylinder head, as well as you get a couple certification patches there. So again, a very professional program. If you're, looks great on a resume, especially if you're trying to maybe seek a position in the industry, as well as, this gives you the ability, we're teaching detailed skills and practices of an actual operating machine shop. So again, great program to have a look at. Something else we've got coming up, like I mentioned about networking and the opportunities to network, is we've got a Tech and Skills Conference coming up in Thomasville, North Carolina on April 26th and 27th, and it's for CV racing products. We've got some great technical presentations lined up for this. It is a 2-day event. Again, lots of opportunity to get together, learn from each other, network, as well as have the tech and skills there to learn from. So that's coming up on April 26th and 7th. You can go right onto our website, right on the home page. You'll see the registration form right there. You can go ahead and click it and get registered for that. So just before I jump in and introduce Mario, our presenter for today, our AERA membership, it's only $3.99 for the year for 1 to 3 employees in the US. If you take advantage of that contingency connection coupon, you're only paying $324. So very, very inexpensive. Great way to take advantage of membership and do that. So if you have any questions on that, again, Amanda and I are in the background, and we'd be more than happy to answer any of that for you. And right now, I would like to introduce Mario Rausch. He is a senior trainer at ElringKlinger, and really looking forward to today's presentation. So good morning, Mario. How are you doing today?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing fine. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Rob, for the question. I'm fine. Hope everybody which is joining the webinar is also doing fine in that way. And this is the signal for me to start into my presentation and to introduce myself in a very, very short way. This is a kind of CV of mine, just to give you a rough overview where I'm coming from and who is speaking to you during that technical Lring presentation in that moment. So my name is Mario. I'm Director Technical Marketing at Lring Aftermarket Division. I'm senior trainer too since many years. My roots are really out of the workshop. I'm a car mechanic, did my apprenticeship starting in the age of 17, and then I went out I go to the advanced master level according German apprentice system, let's say. This is many decades ago. It was very clear I had to go for new challenges, and I changed into the automotive industry of the aftermarket in 1995. So this is 22 years ago when I started becoming a trainer, technical trainer for the SAX organization, which is ZF today. For new challenges, I changed to Lring in 2001, and I'm still at Lring until today. So that means the international business, the training business is my main business. And this technical presentation like today is really the business which I have to do day by day, customer front of trainings, and also these webinars. Direct contact is very important for me. So you can have the direct contact by using my my phone number, and also you can contact me by email. And of course, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. This is also important in these times because this modern social media is the very perfect basement, let's say, to get more than business personal contact. This is a kind of friendship in these times, let's say. But not wasting time, we want to go directly into the presentation, which is a 100% technical presentation. Important to have in mind is that wherever the automotive industry is manufacturing engines, also some plants of ElringKlingers are nearby. This is very important because of the short distances to provide the parts to the automotive industry, to the production plants of these companies, of these brands. So we are really deeply established in that business. This is important to have in mind because this is a big benefit for the aftermarket, for our customers, because you got a lot of this experience in development and manufacturing. What means that? Development partners, development experience. So that means we know a lot about the engines before the engine exists. So we are doing a lot of tests on the computer by finite element method. We can check the temperatures, we can check the pressure in the engine, and we can do, after producing the gasket, after we have the parts from our development partners, we can do some test circles on our own test benches. So by far, we are sure that the gasket we produce, we develop together with the engineers of the manufacturing brands is a reliable part, is a very proper part for these engines. This was in the past, this is in the present, and this will be in the future, I'm very sure. And this is more and more important in the future because the engines of tomorrow are really complicated stuff. This is an engine technology where you have to be educated, where you have to have know-how. And this transfer of know-how is why we are doing these webinars, why we are doing the trainings. Our partners, the workshops, has to have these informations of these new technologies to fulfill their business, to go out for these targets, for these challenges of today. Also the Lring gaskets, and this is the thing you have to know. Lring is the aftermarket brand of ElringKlinger manufacturing. Also these Lring gaskets for the aftermarket are engineered and manufactured on these machines, on these production lines. So this is a well-tested quality for the aftermarket business to repair these engines. Let's have a look. So you as engine remanufacturers, as engine reconditioners, as workers on engine technologies of today, you are somewhere in this triangle of technologies, somewhere in between these three technologies of gasket, of cylinder head gasket in the truck, in the heavy diesel business. So on one hand, we still have this old gasket technology, which we call soft material gasket, this composite type. And since we had these gaskets and the development went on and on, we have two new technologies which are metal gaskets. So these metal gaskets are flexible, are no longer static like the old one. I will explain why later on. And there we have two different technologies, two different way of function, let's say. On one hand side, we have multi-layer steel. On the other hand, we have metal elastomer, which is absolutely different in repairing and in handling. This you have to know. Why is it different? It depends on the surface quality. Have a look. All of these three different surfaces have a roughness maximum of around 10 micrometers. So this is mainly the same, just if you talk about total roughness. But you can easily see the roughness is different in terms of topography. On one hand, we have the lapped surface, which is a more or less straight one. So we have a kind of mirror surface just with valleys to the depths, but no higher peaks. It's mainly with a lot of flat areas. In comparison with the grinded surface by hand, for example, or with any hand-leaded machine, we have an absolutely undefined topography. We have some flat areas, we have deep valleys, and we have high peaks in beneath. So these undefined surface on cylinder head or on the block surface, on the crankcase surface, cannot be handled by these gaskets, by these modern gaskets. The old gasket technology, so the technology with the soft material, was able to handle, to level these undefined surfaces. So it's a big, big difference whether you work with an old cylinder head gasket technology, which was fitted on the complete surface of gasket. So there was a surface contact from gasket to the crankcase and also from gasket to the cylinder head. On new gasket is the contact only along lines. So we have no longer surface contact, we have line contact in between cylinder head, crankcase and gasket. So and these contact lines cannot manage these flat areas. We need a peak by peak surface. And this surface you can only reach and only guarantee if you mill or grind the surfaces by machines. And also the quality you have to go for is different from multi-layer steel gaskets to the metal elastomer gaskets. And this is important to have in mind because for this you need a lot of experience, a lot of know-how, how to handle the machine. What is the machine speed, how much you can take away in one step. So not too easy to do, but finally you can do. If you have the know-how, and this know-how in terms of cylinder head gaskets, we provide to our customers. Let's come back to the soft material gasket. This soft material gasket was roughly established in 1950. So this is really old stuff. And from the production view, we do not any longer. But for the aftermarket, for the repairing, we still need these gaskets. So it's important to have the know-how, to be in contact and touch with this gasket until today. But for the future business, it's maybe not so important to, to spend a lot of investigation work, a lot of time for these old and vintage technology. But nevertheless, this was a good part to repair, especially old engines, make sure that cheap repairing was possible, because once again, of this full contact, full surface contact in between crankcase, the opposite parts, cylinder head, and the gasket. So on any space, on any area of this gasket material, the surface of the parts will find the contact and will match the contact to a proper work, let's say, to a proper function. So this was easy to handle this stuff, but it was no longer possible to go any further with this technology because of the increase of high-end combustion pressure. In these times, 1950, we had no turbocharged engines. So the power output was roughly at around 150 kilowatts, and the high-end combustion pressure was at 120 bars. Today, we have nearly the double in both parameters. So that means a lot more movements of the parts. So that means the clamp forces of the bolts today are not able to fix the cylinder head 100% to the gasket. So we have movement in this sealing gap. We have movement of the cylinder head on the gasket, and this movement leads to a stress situation on the gasket surface and leads to a decrease of thickness. So that means the gasket, this technology, soft material gasket, had a so-called setting rate, a loss of thickness during the lifetime cycle of an engine. So it was absolutely clear this technology was a worn out part. So after some 100,000 kilometers, after some decades, this gasket was to change because of worn. It was absolutely clear with the increase of power output due to turbochargers and also because of the increase of high-end combustion pressure, a new technology was necessary. And so the engineers come to steel gaskets, and on these steel gaskets we have no longer a full surface contact to the parts. So we came to this technology roughly around the 95. You can easily see here we have a bead. So this is a wavy design of this metal carrier, and this bead is in contact to the cylinder head just along this line, and to the crankcase just here on this edge and here on this edge. So we have a 3-line pressure to the parts, and exactly along this line, exactly along this bead, the surface of the cylinder head, the surface of the crankcase has to be perfect. Also, the adjustment cylinder liner to the crankcase has to be perfect to make sure that this gasket type can work proper and can fulfill the requirements of the today's engines. Here you can easily see we have these elastomer inserts or these elastomer moldings with a sealing lip to seal the water jackets and the oil channels of these engines. So also here we have a line pressure along the sealing lips. All the rest of this gasket, of this metal carrier, is just a carrier plate. There is no contact to the cylinder head and to the crankcase. So this is the reason why you have to make sure that the surfaces are perfect in these times. In the first step of technology with Euro 3 and Euro 4 environmental laws, let's say, so because of the environmental care, we had one metal carrier, so single layer gaskets, and these gaskets was also just for one cylinder. So you had to add one cylinder by one cylinder. So of course for an 8-cylinder engine you need 8 gaskets. This was easy to do in these times. But also here, the development goes on and on. So today we have these new engines, also for the trucks. Doesn't matter whether we have these medium-sized trucks or 4 and 6 cylinder or these big engines, these real heavy diesel engines. Today we have one cylinder head for these engines. We have overhead camshafts, sometimes double overhead camshafts, 4 valves per each cylinder to fulfill the environmental laws of today and to have clean exhaust gases also on the truck side. And for these engines, we need a different technology of cylinder head gaskets. So you can easily see the difference here. Today we have multi-layer steel. We already have this bead, like on the technology before. Sometimes we have an eyelet, a cover, a torpedo ring about, over these sensitive bead, let's say, to increase the pressure in that area, because here we need the highest pressure, because now we are in a range of high-end combustion pressure up to 250 bars, and we run these engines up to 500 kilowatts in highway use. So this is very strong stuff for the modern engines. You can easily see the multi-layer design, which we have today. Here we have one layer, here's an additional layer, and of course sometimes we have stopper layers and these eyelets. So it's a very well-adjusted system of gasket, let's say. It's not just a simple metal plate in between the parts cylinder head and crankcase. Also in these times we have these eyelets, these elastomer, this elastomer material to seal the oil channels and the water jackets. This can be molded directly on the carrier plate, or we have sometimes also smaller inserts with these sealing lips on it, and these inserts we weld onto the metal carrier by laser spots. These gaskets can be single cylinder gaskets, so one gasket per each cylinder, but mainly we have these one part cylinder head gaskets in the modern engines, and this can really be really big stuff. So engines with a gaskets with a length of 1 meter is not very seldom. This is really high-tech engine and gasket technology of today, mainly to reach the high end or these high targets, these high challenges of the today's laws of environmental care. This is a technology aspect. So we have a deep, detailed view to the inner part of the engine, let's say. Have a look from cylinder head bolt, where we have here, to the combustion area is just a small distance. But from here to here, it's an even bigger distance. So that means the pressure, and it's interrupted by this water jacket. So it's absolutely clear. If we talk about the clamp force of the bolt, we have more clamp force in this area in comparison to that area where we have less clamp force. The same in the area of all 4 bolts. So that means, or that leads to the fact that no cylinder is round. We have a deformation in that form. Of course, this is a range of some thousandths of a millimeter, so it sounds like nothing, but at least this influences the tolerances in between piston and cylinder. Doesn't matter whether you have cylinder bores or whether you have liners. So the influence is different, but there is an influence in the ovality of the cylinder. And these tolerances are very important for us as a gasket producer. And these facts, these clamp forces, and these effects, these negative effects, we have to know during the production, during the development of the gasket, because we can take influences on this deformation, which is negative, by the gasket. See here, if we change from a 2-dimensional view to a 3-dimensional view, you can easily see the temperature in the cylinder and the pressure situation in the cylinder. Here where it's blue, we have less pressure, but exactly in that area between the cylinders, we have more temperature. This is counterproductive. We need more pressure in that area. So it is absolutely clear we have to give positive impact, that we can influence this in a better way. And for this, some gaskets have so-called high topographic stopper. Have a look on this. If we coin in deformation, a stopper design with different heights. So you see the thickness of this coined area in that part is thicker in comparison to that part. Here the thickness is less. And it's absolutely clear for you as technical specialists, where we have less thickness, there is less pressure in the system. Where we have more thickness, we can increase the pressure in the system. So that means if you develop a gasket together with these engineers of the engine manufacturer, you have this know-how, you have this experience and this expertise to influence the gasket function, the engine function in a very proper and clever way. And this is absolutely important. And this makes the big difference in the OE conform gasket, and in comparison with a cheap gasket which is not OE conform. Of course, also the other gasket maybe will work, but the durability is a big difference in that terms. So only the gasket with these details inside can work proper for and make sure that the gasket has a long durability. These are real details of gasket engineering. Have a look on these gaskets. Since 2011, the Euro 5 environmental care laws are established. We are now reaching Euro 6. I'm sure in the States, in the on the North American continent, there is something similar to reach these targets, these challenges. For these gaskets, for these engines, we need very special technologies of gaskets. All of these gaskets are metal elastomer gaskets. You cannot fulfill the requirements with other technologies. The designs are sometimes different, but all in all, these gaskets are high-tech products. So we do these gaskets, for example, for Packard, for Detroit Diesel, Mack, and all the other European brands. We have special gaskets, so you can easily see on this Scania gasket, for example, there is a big difference. Around the combustion area, this Scania gasket is absolutely flat. So here the technical function is completely different. The technical function is guaranteed by the shape of the cylinder liner. So it makes absolutely clear if we have to go for the 100% perfect function of this gasket, the adjustment of cylinder liner to the crankcase and to the gasket, the clamp forces of the bolts has to be perfect, because all of these things has an immense influence of the sealing function of the gasket. It's absolutely important to have in mind, because these are the reasons for some how to say, technical advices. Let's say, for example, changing the head bolts in any way, especially if the bolts are stretch bolts. A very special gasket design is this multi-layer steel gasket design. This is not so popular in truck use, but you can get a multi-layer steel gasket if you repair, for example, gensets. In the Engine Pro magazine of the AERA, I saw the Kohler genset on the front page. And of course, if this Kohler genset might be driven by a, I don't know, an engine which is fired by biogas, for example, it can be that the gasket is different to the highway use gasket, and can be that this is a steel gasket in multi-layer steel design. So normally you would say, okay, what is the big difference in between the two steel types? So also here we have this bead for the contact to the opposite faces. Also here we have a stopper design. You see this coined design, which we can do in a equal thickness, and also in this high topographic design. But the big difference is this black coating on top, because this black coating on top is very sensitive in terms of surface quality, let's say. And for this coating, for this surface of the steel gasket, you need a very perfect topography after machining. So also this is very important. There's a big difference if you, for example, if you are working with a flying cutter, or if you are working with a grinding machine. So you have to have in mind, you produce the surface quality, and the surface quality has to be adaptable to the gasket. And this can be different from technology to technology. Have in mind, this is not so easy to do, especially with this modern stuff since 2010, I would say, in average. Yeah, what do we do to provide know-how to you? On our website, you can find these exploded view drawings, so that this makes easy to see how the engine is built up, how we which parts we are offering, and to understand the engine function. This is helpful stuff for identification of the parts and to speak of technologies. Important know-how is also the tightening instruction. Normally with our gaskets you get these tightening instructions, but sometimes these documents got lost during the repairing, and this is very, very important stuff, because the gasket, we are talking about thousands of millimeters with these stoppers, with these to influence this ovality of the cylinder. So it's absolutely important to follow the tightening instructions, because if you fail here, the negative influence of the sealing gap, of the sealing function of the gasket will be in the system, and you cannot avoid any failure in any way. This is important things which you can find on our website. For example, technical bulletins. We heard from Rob, technical bulletins are very important in these times, and for sure also we are providing these service information, technical service information, TSI, for elder engines, for example, for this Mercedes Actros engine, which has 3 different designs of cylinder head and 3 different gaskets, which are not mixable. So this, you have to know which gasket, which cylinder head design you have, and we show up how you can identify and how you can go for the correct cylinder head gasket in that way. Otherwise the gasket will fail if you use it with the wrong cylinder head. This is old stuff. On the other hand, we have to have new stuff, and here we are in a win-win situation with our development partners. For example, here with the Detroit Diesel 15, we have some technical drawings which gives us a lot of detailed background information of the engine. And of course, if we know there is something interesting for our customer, for our workshops, for our partners, then we prepare service information for the aftermarket, which we provide to our partners. And this is very, very important to work on. My sample pictures here are Mercedes-Benz pictures, but of course we have also pictures. This one is suitable also for the Detroit Diesel. This is the same engine, the so-called world engine, Detroit Diesel and Mercedes-Benz. So it's also very important for your market, for your country. We do installation video. Whenever we know there is something tricky in repairing this engine, we prepare a movie. We do a movie where we show how to handle the special tools, where we show how to handle our gaskets, where we show how to manage these challenges of the 2 days engines. This we show up mainly, of course, this we have to say clearly, mainly for passenger car engines, because this is by quantity the majority of our business. But of course, we do also these training movies, these installation videos for the truck engines of today. Last not least, if you say there is something very interesting in this information, and if you want to learn about more, we are also offering a training, an online training academy. This you can find on our via our website. This is our own website where we provide know-how and where you can go for a certified expert status by passing exams, and also here you can get certificates after passing these exams. It's important. Know-how, it's very, very important information and stuff in these times. Okay, we are coming to the end of this module number 3, cylinder head gaskets in heavy diesel engines. Here for the trucks, these truck solutions, 30 minutes of technology. This is an overview where we are an overview of these triangles where we are situated in. If you want to have more, you can be in discussion with AERA. We offer 9 different modules for head gaskets, for oil seals, especially this modern technology with PTFE and with sensor wheel for the Volkswagen group. and of course also gaskets for housings and covers from past into future. So that means we can show up all technologies, all generations of sealing via these webinars. These are the modules we are offering in our virtual classrooms for webinar solutions. So this is our website. Here you can find everything which I introduced to you. Now this is more or less the end of the presentation. So far, do you have any questions? Is there any question which popped up meanwhile during my speech?
Yeah, that was great, Mario. Thank you very much. A very, very good presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, very technical. For those of you out there listening, if you're not aware, I mean, Mario's speaking from his office in Germany, so just the power of technology with what we can do with these webinars, and this was very, very good. Mario, there is some questions that have come forward. The first one is, would there be any good reason to not lubricate the underside of a head bolt during torquing and turning in a torque to yield head bolt?
Not to lubricate. Yes, so what we recommend for lubrication of these head bolts is a small amount of oil on the thread and also a small amount of oil under the head in between the washer and the head. It's very important not to have lubricants under the washer, because the washer should find a good contact to the cylinder head, but the head of the bolt should turn easily on the washer. If there is no washer on the cylinder head bolt, then it's necessary to put a small amount under the head, just to avoid that there is any negative influence on the torque when you torque it down. So a small amount, yes, not too much, but not under the washer, in between the washer and the head of the bolt.
Okay, perfect. Another question for you. Let's just find it here real quick. It was referring to one of your slides, slide number 10. The single layer solution gasket drawing shows a baffle that's integral to the elastomer seal. What is the purpose or functionality of that baffle?
That makes the sealing lip a little bit more stable, just to avoid that that there is any deformation of the sealing lip. If there is pressure on the sealing lip, it can easily happen that this big pressure, this big clamp force, squeezes out the sealing lip squeezes the sealing lip out of the gap. And to give the sealing lip more stability and to keep it in shape, let's say we have this baffle inside. So on some gaskets we need these baffles, on some gaskets they are not necessary. Depends on the shape of the cylinder head.
All right. Another question came in. It was referring to one of your slides that had the Mercedes OM 472 as well as the DD15 gaskets that were shown. And they're just wondering, is that the same engine with two different names, MB and Detroit Diesel?
Yes, this is the so-called world engine. So Mercedes-Benz and Detroit Diesel has a joint venture. They create the same engine and they sell it into different brands as the so-called world engine. But the gasket is the same, and also let's say the basic engine is also the same.
Okay, all right. And same thing, Mercedes-Benz, referring to that OM 457 LA engine, they're talking about the camshaft sprocket cover was glued using a sealant or a sealing repair, or is that the case? Do they use a sealant on that particular camshaft sprocket?
Yes, this is possible to use, but in that case you need a very special one. If I understand correctly, for all these camshaft carriers, you say sprocket. What is that? I don't know this word. You have to help me in any.
Yeah, camshaft gear. So they're basically they're referring to that camshaft gear cover. Yeah.
So if you have to mount the camshaft gear cover and there is no gasket in between, then you need a sealant, a liquid seal, a gasket maker, which works without air influence, and which cures completely after after the use. So that means we have anaerobe sealants, and these anaerobe sealants are available from all the producers, also from Lring. We offer as AFD, anaerobe fluid.
All right. Another question came in, and this is referring to one of your slides as well, is it was, what do you understand by cylinder liner and thermal barrier ring? Maybe like what is the difference there? What is it that's, what are you referring to there between cylinder line? It was a cylinder liner with a thermal barrier ring.
Yeah, the thermal barrier ring is we have to make sure that that we don't mix up topics. So sometimes we have an oil scrapping ring on top of the cylinder liner. This is necessary to scrap away, char these carbons from the top of the piston. Some people mix this with this thermal barrier ring. This thermal barrier ring is specially sewn, let's say, which makes the cylinder liner a little bit more heat resistant in the top.
Okay. And one of our other attendees has asked, is it recommended to put some sort of sealant on head gaskets?
No. We know there are cylinder head gaskets on the market where the recommendation is also in the market to use sealant. But this is only on special solutions, for example, copper gaskets on, for example, dragster engines. There is a special glue, a special sealant possible, but these gaskets are absolutely flat. These are just metal plates which are flat. For this, you need this special kind of glue. Our gaskets are ready to install, and they have to be installed dry because the sealing function around the combustion area is guaranteed by this pressure increase with this bead, with this eyelet. So we have a pressure increase because of more material, and the sealing function in the backland is guaranteed by these sealing lips or by soft material. So the normal gasket maker you can use is not heat resistant enough for these temperatures around the combustion area. So Lring does not recommend sealing compound gasket makers in the area of cylinder head.
All right, and then speaking about cylinder head gasket technology, what do you see now as the most widespread type of technology in modern truck engines?
Yeah, this is absolutely clear to answer. So this is a quantity more than 90% is metal elastomer gaskets. So different technologies in these special type of gaskets. So we have single layer, we have multi-layer, we have insert solution, we have solutions where these elastomers are molded directly on the carrier. But nevertheless, in total, metal elastomer combination is by far the majority in modern truck engines.
All right, and then another question has come in also, Mario, talking about surface roughness, maximum surface roughness. What is allowable now for some of this cylinder head technology that's out there?
Yeah, depends on the gasket technology. So coming from the old technology, according to my presentation, the old gasket soft material type can manage a surface roughness up to 25 microns R max. So I'm speaking in metric measures. I don't have the imperial in the moment. So 25 micrometers total roughness with undefined topography for the old stuff. Then the majority of the gaskets, metal gaskets with elastomers, can manage surface quality around 15 microns, which is also a lot. If the parts are on the machine, everybody should be able to reach these 15. This is not so difficult, but for this gasket type, we need this defined topography just with peak. So a peak by peak topography. This is why we say, okay, hand-leaded tools are not longer allowed because of the waviness. These parts have to be machined. And the most sensitive technology is the multi-layer steel with this black coating on top, because this black coating is responsible for the micro sealant, and this can only manage roughness up to 10 microns maximum.
All right. One more question coming in here for you, Mario. Just having a look here. Okay, so someone's asked, are the Lring gaskets offered in the aftermarket, or is it just an OEM that can get Lring gaskets?
This is a good question. No, the Lring questions are offered in the aftermarket, and only the Lring gaskets are offered in the aftermarket, because Lring is the brand name of the international aftermarket. All the gaskets which are marked as Lring are the aftermarket branded gaskets, and all the OE gaskets, or the gaskets we produce for the original equipment, are marked with EK, which stands for ElringKlinger, and ElringKlinger is our, let's say, roof company, our headquarter, our mother company.
Okay. Another question Mario's come in. With the new gaskets, is the finish for the head surface the same as the block deck?
Yeah, it depends on. So if you have the block deck without wet cylinder liners, so this is possible, especially on the medium size heavy diesel. We have engine blocks with, or crankcases without wet cylinder liners. Then you need the same surface quality on head and on crankcase. If you have a cylinder block with wet cylinder liner, normally the cylinder head gasket comes in contact with the upper area of the liner flange, and this should be machined and in proper quality. And for the elastomer inserts, you can have a little more roughness, because these elastomer are more adaptable in the backlands. So, but normally, or let's say in average, you should go for the same quality in machining on cylinder head and also on crankcase.
All right, so Mario, we've got time for one more question.
Okay.
And anybody's questions, keep them coming for now. You can, we'll get back to you. What we'll do is we'll email Mario, and we'll get those questions answered for you and get those back to you. Of course. We've only got so much time, but one more question for you, Mario, is
yes.
What is recommended for cleaning the cylinder block surface while it's still in the vehicle?
Yeah, cleaning is easy to answer. Cleaning is just a chemical product, let's say. Normally, honestly saying, normally we use brake cleaner, because brake cleaner is cheap and easy to handle, and you can use it for cleaning the surfaces. If the parts, if we are talking about surface quality, it's difficult to answer. This is not such an easy question, because if you want to reach the surface quality in terms of topography, you have to machine the parts, and this is the big challenge. It's easy to machine the cylinder head, because the cylinder head is disassembled in any way. But if you want to machine the crankcase, and the crankcase is in the truck, it's not so easy to do. Then you have to check the quality of the surfaces, and you have to decide by your own. If the quality seems to be good, and the cylinder liner flange is perfect, and there are no impressions of the old gasket, you can take the risk and you can do a repair. But at the end, if you want to guarantee, if you want to be on the safe side, you have to machine. I know from exhibitions, machines are available to do this business in the truck, in the car, but this is different stuff. So this is really a decision by the workshop. If you want to make it absolutely proper, you have to go with the machine.
All right. Well, Mario, again, we want to thank you very much for doing this webinar for us today. We do have more questions there, and what we'll do is Amanda or myself will get those forwarded to you anybody that has questions, just again, Amanda's going to show you here at the end. We've got contact information for myself as well as for Amanda, and we can get those questions over to Mario, and we'll get those questions answered for you. So Mario, we appreciate your time. Thank you again for the webinar, taking time out of your day. I know it's almost dinner time over there for you, so you're on after hours now, so we do appreciate that. And thanks again. And we do look forward to maybe working with you again with another one of your webinars in the future.
Perfect, would be great. I have to say thank you for the invitation and for these big chance, this great chance to present the technologies. And of course, questions are always welcome. Feel free to ask. Sure.
So at this time, I'm going to just put it back over to Amanda here for a minute, and she'll just go over the last part of the webinar. And again, thank you, Mario, and thank you everybody for participating.
Yes, thank you everybody for your time. Just a couple quick things.
Thank you.
You will get a follow-up. You will get a follow-up email tomorrow with a recording of today's webinar. You can use that however you would like. You can watch it again. You can forward it on to other people on your staff, whatever you would like. Also, when you close out today, there will be a survey that pops up. Please take a moment and fill it out and give us your feedback so we can make sure we keep giving you webinars on what you want. I will be doing a drawing on Friday from everybody who had answered the questions in the survey, and one person will win a free Engine Professional beanie hat. Lastly, watch out. We got the follow-up email, we got the survey, and the last thing is the contact information. So you'll see there our main line is 815-526-7600, and that will get you anyone on the AERA staff. You can also email me, Rob, and Karen at the email addresses listed there. Or if you get an email from us regarding the webinar, just hit reply to that, and that will come to me as well. Again, thank you everybody for your time, and we hope you all have a great rest of your day.